Hi everyone, in this video I'll talk about the frequently asked questions about the KTM 250 Adventure, this beauty here. So there are a list of 17 questions that I've got from Instagram and from YouTube videos, the comment section and a post that I've done. Anyway, before I start, I would like to make something clear that my height is 180 centimeters and I weigh 74 kilograms and my observations will be based on this. Let me just sit in the bike and show you that I get planted feet on both sides, and that's about it. Let's start the video.
What is the fuel economy of the bike? Initially, during the break-in period, I used to get a fuel economy of 41 to 42 kilometers per liter. Nowadays, I get somewhere in the range of 34 to 36 kilometers per liter. If you'd like to watch a dedicated video on the fuel economy test I conducted, click on the card appearing right now. Is the seat height an issue? What height should you have for planted feet on both sides? The seat height could be an issue for a beginner rider if you are below 5'9". However, if you are used to riding motorcycles in general, you will learn to adjust. It could be an issue if you want to move the bike with your feet while being seated on the bike. In order to have planted feet on both sides, you need to be 5'10" and above. What is the comfortable cruising speed? I would say the comfortable speed on big empty highways would be 100 kilometers per hour and more, and on normal 4-lane highways, that is 2 lanes on each sides, you can cruise at 90 plus easily. You can definitely push the bike to go beyond 100, but be wary of the surroundings. How is the engine heating on highways and on city roads? On highways, you won't feel heat that much because of the frequent airflow around the engine. However, in the city with a lot of traffic, it does heat up. I've never felt uncomfortably high levels of heat even with heavy traffic, but you'll definitely feel it. I highly recommend that you wear fully covered clothing and shoes. And sometimes after city rides, when I come back, the fan tends to kick in. Vibrations on the bike and how to reduce it. This is definitely a sore point for this bike. The most annoying thing is the vibrating front section and how awfully it's built. While I gave my bike for a recent bonus service, I mentioned about this, and they used tape on some parts so that it wouldn't come off. I've seen some people are adding extra bars to the front section so that it could stay stronger. I'll check more about that issue. Coming to engine vibrations, this bike has to be kept within 4000 rpm range in order to avoid rattling kind of vibrations. Around 4K to 6.5K mark, the vibrations are significantly less. Doesn't mean it's absent, but it's way less than other rev ranges. Above 7000 rpm, there are bussy vibrations which have become common theme in KTM bikes. There is no specific way to reduce engine vibrations. Does the back tire require a tire hugger?
So if you notice from this angle, you'll understand that as the tire comes up, the sludge or mud or something, it has to come this way, right? So since this section is not covered, the pillion who is sitting here and whose thighs will be here will be affected by this. So one thing I'm going to try is maybe fit the tire hugger of the KTM Duke, extend it by welding and use this screw or something and get it make a tire hugger out of it. Probably that might help. So it does affect the pillion when it's in rainy conditions or if you're riding through mud or sludge.
Is it comfortable to ride in city traffic? Once you get used to the bike, it's really easy to ride in city traffic. However, the wide handlebars can restrict easy filtering through traffic. Also, be careful when you're going near other two-wheelers when you're stopping in traffic. Your handlebar could hit them in the shoulder level. One good thing about the high seat is that you can get a commanding view of most cars, aiding in good decision making on the road. Gearing and low end torque. The gearing on this bike is really tall, that means you'll have to stay in each gear longer before shifting up. This can be an annoyance in traffic. Regarding low end torque, the motorcycle is not torquey in general, and there isn't much of a low end torque when you compare it to the Himalayan. How is the suspension of the bike? Is it hard, and how does suspension feel while touring? The suspension is a bit on the stiffer side and it does not provide a feel of gliding over everything, but it's not so stiff and it does have a long suspension travel. You can feel the difference while going through broken roads and patches. You can increase the suspension travel by adjusting preload setting. Since it's slightly on the stiffer side, by default it handles really well and this helps while touring. So in terms of suspension in touring, it's a hand in glove situation. Are there any complaints or issues that I'm facing? Yes, I do have an issue with cold starts. When I start the bike for the very first time in a day, it refuses to start properly. It can also happen when the engine cools off entirely after a ride and I start it again. Here's a video snippet on what happens. So this is the first time I'm going to start the bike today. Yeah, now it might stay, but I hope you got the idea. The service personnel told me this is common with KTM bikes and I have to apply throttle slightly and let it idle for a while. How is the road presence of the bike? It does feel like a big bike when you're riding next to other motorcycles. People also seem to notice how big the bike is. Hence I feel that it does have a nice road presence. But I would say compared to the G310 GS, this doesn't have much of a road presence. Don't get me wrong, it does have, but compared to that bike, it's slightly less. How is the quality of parts on the bike? This is one of the main areas which seem to be a letdown for me. The switchgear unit moves if you push it and is quite cheap. The entire front section is flimsy. The mudguard is flimsy, but that's one of the acceptable parts in the entire front section. If you look at the parts near the headlamp unit, you can see that service personnel have used tape to make it fit properly. Also, this entire unit can vibrate badly at times, mainly when you're in lower rev range. The wiring could be concealed more at places too. Other than this, it's quite decently built. Is it a proper off-roader or just something which can handle some casual off-road? I'm not an off-roader nor have I developed the skills now. But I can say it's not a bike in which you want to learn off-roading because you can definitely feel the weight when you go off the tarmac. Also, the relatively less ground clearance could be a cause of minor concern. I've seen a lot of videos on the internet where people take this off-road and execute it very nicely. The conclusion to this question is it would be capable to handle hardcore off-road in the right hands. Is it good for someone who will use it only for highway touring? Oh, absolutely, yes. It just glides over on highways without any issues whatsoever. It easily gains speed on highways and you can cruise comfortably without concerns, unless a dog or cow jumps in front of you. You do get wind blast though, which is why an aftermarket visor, more lengthier, would be a good addition. The view from the saddle is amazing on the highways and you'll get a good fuel economy as well. Is it money's worth to use and accessorize this bike? It definitely is, but if it could have been a little less cheaper, maybe 20 or 25,000 less for the ex-showroom price, given the quality of parts being used, it would have been a sweeter deal. Anyway, you can customize it by adding GPS mount, saddle stays and such. And the bike can easily handle the added weight. Since it's on the easier side of handling, adding more bulk will not be an issue in handling as well. But I want KTM to work on making the engine smoother and offering quality parts instead of just changing the color scheme every year. Is it feasible as a daily driver and only bike for an individual or couple? It is 100% feasible as a daily driver. I'm using the bike daily and I'm not facing any difficulties. Of course, you have to be rational. It's not easy to filter through traffic given the wide handlebar, and it's sometimes too tricky to get out of parking if others squeeze you in. For a couple, this bike will be good too. You get a nice pillion seat, and if you mount a top rack, you can rest on that without giving too much pressure. And we have come to the last question. Is the instrument cluster easy to read while riding? Yes, it's easy to read while riding unless the sun is positioned in a way that it shines precisely on the cluster. I have used it in the middle of the day and I did not have any issues. Hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching. I'll link a few videos you might love to check out. Stay awesome and ride safe.